You want me to pull up your chart? Or I would say, I mean, if, let's see. Hi, Julia. Yeah, color resonance is a juicy topic. So I'm not really prepared to just go into some sort of, topic. I want to, respond to where you guys are at.
Well, I could kick off and ask a question to see if I'm interpreting things correctly from watching your replays.
Yep.
So I had a look, and so you had touched on the Uranus with the body thing, but I had actually, from watching it, I had gone and looked at Kamud's site, and she's got some information on there. And so I have resonance between my design Sun Earth color and
Let's
Venus.
pull your chart up. Do I have it in here?
Sure, I think you do, yeah.
Yep. There we go.
So Venus, Pluto, and Saturn. Am I seeing that right on the design side?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's like inhalate. So it's inhalation, exhalation, and complexion, I believe, are the correlations for those planets. So is that, if I'm not eating correctly in my low sound environment, are those the pieces that get impacted? Because I've actually noticed my complexion has been better and I have been more consistent eating low sound. And my breathing has always been a bit funny. Like I've got polyps in my nose and a
Yeah.
deviated septum and all this fun stuff. But yeah, so is that
Yes.
correct? Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Those would be some of the implications that you would face. Yes. 100%. Yep.
Very interesting. And so, okay. I mean, I don't really know what's appropriate to ask. I guess I was talking to Jonah yesterday and I got the design of flesh or whatever. So I'll have a read through that design resonance mapping, but because I don't know what's appropriate to ask in this setting, but I'm just curious, like, okay, so if that correlates to, color on the design side to those aspects, what do the node colors correlate to on the same side? And then the personality side is more like I have full resonance actually between my Sun, Earth, and nodes on the personality side. I'm not sure
Wow. That's a
exactly.
big deal. Yeah. That's very significant.
So what does that mean?
So what that means is that despite the fact that you have this, undefined ajna, you do have a lot of internal consistency to your thinking.
Hmm.
Right? It's not as flexible as would appear on the surface. Right. So you're really in this dynamic of knowing what's needed and essential, or, overthinking from a place of fear, right? Just continually doing that research that's unnecessary for you to do, going further and further and further, right? So that's one dynamic.
Yes.
And, sounds familiar, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
And the other dynamic would be, it's you're here to see hierarchically, right? You're here to see the winners, the losers, what's best, so on and so forth. But the distraction there to personal is taking things personally. Right? It's this kind of checkout, being self-absorbed. So there's a dynamic, and also that 3 can be power dynamic. So while you're here to notice who and what is best, you can get caught up in your own trip to be the best, right? And there can be a power dynamic issue in that. So there are these consistent themes going on with your motivation and your view. despite the fact that you just have this dormant gate 11 going on in your ajna. So this is one of the important things about looking at substructure, right? Because there's a consistency there. You know, I call this definition in the substructure is color resonance. So you have a lot of definition here on the personality side. Nothing extraordinary on the design side, but definitely this is extremely rare. I have 8. I come across people that have 8 or more. I mean, it's you know, less than 1 in 100, I would say, or maybe it's around that. So yeah, it's a really big deal.
So it's a fixedness in terms of the overthinking potential through the transference and then the power dynamics.
Yeah.
And the fixedness in how I think.
Right. So, I mean, one of the ways that this all comes together is, you know, it's being preoccupied with your own personal survival. You know, what do I need to do to, you know, take care of my security and survival, you know, for myself, you know? That's one way that story would play out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and where else does that, what gate does that live in the chart as well? The fear of survival, or, I mean, it's
Fear
a
of the
spleen.
future. 57. Yeah. Which you have that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, you know, you have a defined spleen. I mean, you do have a preoccupation here, but this isn't the most significant not self gate for you, right?
Yeah.
It does kind of underscore what we're talking about here when this goes to the 1.
Interesting.
Right.
You know,
The other way that would play out is you know, there could be a story around not needing anyone.
yeah.
You know, becoming the separatist.
Interesting.
You know,
Is that the opposite, like when in transference from the master novice? Is that where you get, is that the separatist? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So you are here to, you know, master something and then move on to the next, right? That's that dynamic, you know, been there, done that. Okay, ready for something new, back to beginner's mind, you know, start again as a novice. But, you know, the transfer trajectory would be around communalism to separatist, right? And there would be a story there of, I don't need anyone, you know. It's the whole communal separatist thing is ultimately all about, is it safer to be together or is it safer to be apart? So your mind is saying, yeah, you know, there's trappings, you know, in the community, you know, it's safer to have one foot out, right? Now that's the not self story, you know.
I definitely think that.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's an interesting layer. And it's interesting, the fixedness and the power dynamics, because in sort of picking apart my chart and looking at the gates, I mean, I've got this in 44, one of the lines is lording over others. I mean, I've got the ego, I've got different aspects that just, but I was just joking to a friend the other day, like my undefined solar plexus really saves people from how much of an asshole I can actually be. Because I just avoid sort of going there with people, which is probably good because then I can sort of let it all work out. But that's interesting as well, that the fixedness that comes in. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, your chart can definitely get into power dynamic, you know, power dynamics here. You know, so when your survival feels threatened, right? When your survival feels threatened for all these reasons, you know, you can assert power, you know, in order to what you think you need to do to protect yourself, right?
Yeah. And it's funny, like it just popped out of nowhere. I just had this pang in my gut last night, like around this fear of survival. It just came literally out of nowhere, but it can definitely get brought on in closer situations as well. And I mean, then 6.4 as well as triumph. It's really interesting how it can show up. And I definitely do go into this sort of crazed moment, and it's really
Mhm.
just learning that that can happen sometimes, and just take a breath.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Mhm.
mean my survival is threatened, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Good. Any other questions? I saw some other people joined.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, who else? I saw that Julia put her info in here. Let's see, 27 March, 81. Was it 8:04, Julia? I think so. 8:04. Is that AM or PM?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, it's AM.
AM. Okay. I have
Yeah.
another friend born in, I don't know how to pronounce it, Sollefteå.
Sollefteå.
Yeah,
Did you have a friend from there?
I do. Do you know Bella Crystal? Who's
I
also,
don't know her. Yeah. I maybe do.
yeah, she's from there.
Oh, really? That's funny.
There we go.
I never had a reading.
You've never had a reading?
No, I
So
never even, yeah.
what's your experience in the human design experiment? Are you absolute beginner?
No, 2 years.
Okay. Got it. Just doing the self-study projector thing?
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit nervous, like,
Yeah,
I don't know why.
we've got some similar stuff here because
58.
yeah, I have the 50, you know, this is my personality sun. This is my personality earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what are you grappling with? What questions do you have? What's an area of the chart that you'd like more clarity about?
Oh, I don't know. I've been so busy today because my daughter have a birthday, so my head is like scrambled. Uh, uh, so I'm not sure. What do you see?
I see about 1,000 things. Well, let's start with this. So
Yeah,
your personality sun's in an undefined center, right?
yeah,
So your light, your purpose is very much dependent on other people, which is a continuity with the fact that you're a projector, right?
yeah,
So one of the things that I've been saying, a little practical heresy here, is just pointing out the obvious. So I'll turn this into a bigger lesson for everyone, that we have all the gates and we all have all the centers, right? It's just a question of, do they operate in a fixed, consistent way or not? Okay.
yeah,
So the deeper I go with strategy, the more that I see strategy is really just has macro level implications. Macro, not micro,
yeah,
not day-to-day minutia, right? And so, you know,
yeah,
I point out that all of us are actually initiating and being invited and responding, right? Because we've got all
yes,
this to do that, right? But for your life, the pages of your life turn through being recognized, you know,
yeah,
recognized and invited for your judgment, right? And your judgment is obviously based on your keen awareness of logical patterns. Like you're the type of person who's going to say, wow, we're doing this same shit in politics again. Like we've already been there and done that, you know, like you're very mindful of the patterns of life. And you kind of look around and you're like, how come no one else is noticing that we've already tried this and it doesn't work?
yeah,
Right. So very pattern oriented mind. Um, yeah, you're the insatiable improver, right? Corrector,
yeah,
right? But and all the more so because you have guilt motivation, right? But it all hinges
yeah,
on you know, people look at you and they're like, okay, she can be really active and really busy, but don't let that pull you into being focused. Right? You're not here to
Yeah.
be focused.
Is that about my variable or?
Yes. Yeah. You're only one
Yeah.
part left. So, but you know, it's your activity. This is the homogenous trap, if you will. You know, people can see that you can be really active, but you're not here to be focused. Right.
Yeah.
And so your corrections are really channeled, right? They really come through you. And, you know, it's all about first being, you know, there's a lot of continuity in your chart here. It's like you have to be recognized, right? And then your
Yeah.
intelligence is pulled out of you.
Yeah.
Right? And then you show up with solutions for other people. When you show up with those solutions after they've recognized you, right? Then you give
Yeah.
people hope. You give people hope that you can improve that situation for them, that they can perhaps improve it for themselves. But
Yeah.
right. But if
But
you
about this,
initiate,
yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say,
Go.
if you try to initiate fixing something, right?
Yeah.
Then you're going to be perceived as meddlesome.
What is that?
Mm.
What does it mean?
Interfering.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Interfering in
Yeah,
a
sure.
way, right?
Yeah. You know, I have so many questions, but I don't know any question right now.
Mm.
It's typical. But about, you know, focus, I feel like this 52 gate, it's like I'm concentrated all the time, but just on things.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I have this too. It's like, yeah, you can get, you don't know when to stop with the details, right? You don't know when enough is enough working on the details to bring something
oh
new
no.
into order, right? So that's one of the main ways that you exhaust yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been really exhausted. Not really. I've seen worse, but and I'm also indirect light.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know, sleeping is it's better now because now I never put an alarm on. Like I sleep until I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
But all my life, you know, it's been like trying to get to bed early and try to get up in the morning, but never work. You know.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a struggle for an indirect light person. I mean, you know, do you work for yourself?
I'm not really working. I don't know what I do. You know, I do ceramics. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sell some stuff of that. I sell some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I work a little bit here and there. Like
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't have a fixed job. I couldn't right now.
Yeah. I mean, one thing is if you have either the 21 or the 45, right, or the 15 or the 5, Ra encourages you to
Yeah,
work for yourself, right?
work for myself
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
if I had them.
one thing is that you're not going to do well. You know, most of the world kind of conforms to this like 9 to 5 schedule, right?
Yeah,
That very well may not be a schedule that works for you as an indirect,
no,
right? So you could be most active at night. And what I see with indirect is that I see that these are people who either are night owls or they go to bed really early and they get up so early in the morning that it's still dark for an hour or two. Right. So
yeah. No, I'm up until maybe 4 o'clock
okay. Yeah.
in the morning. Then
Yeah.
I go to bed. And then I sleep to maybe 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a daughter, and she's 11 tomorrow. So she's getting bigger and bigger, and it's easier for me
Yeah.
to live the indirect life.
Right. And
And I
so,
live in a small town, you know, it's no life here at night.
hmm,
So boring.
yeah. Well, good. It sounds like you are living that indirect life.
I do
Yeah. Good.
as as much as I can.
Good. Good. Yeah. And
And
the other thing I'll, point out, it's easy to see on the surface here, is just that, you're entirely unconsciously defined, right?
yes,
Yeah. So when you introspect, there's kind of a blank page there, and your mind imagines who you are and what you're going to do and what you're capable of and all these kinds of things, you know?
yes,
So yeah, you're really learning through getting feedback from other people, you know?
yes,
And it can be
very
very
much.
surprising, like, who am I? Because, things get pulled out, right, that surprise you, right? And then you
Sometimes, yeah,
can't see your nature, you know? So
yeah,
it's unconscious
yeah. It's really
judgment.
interesting, you know. This I don't know how it is to have a consciousness or a conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same. I don't think I relate more to the 17 or to the other four gates, you know.
Mm-hmm. You're saying you don't think that you relate as much to the 17?
Yeah, yeah, but not more
Mm-hmm.
because it's conscious. I don't think so. I relate very much to like the 58 and the 52
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and also the 18.
Yeah. Well, it also,
Also the 17.
well, I mean, these are part of your, you know, uh, excuse me, this is part of your definition, and this is
Mm,
connected, this is part of your definition. So, that is going to show up, consistently. I mean,
yeah,
you're opinionated, and you're looking to, there's a big concern here around, do I dare share my opinions?
yeah,
Right. And of course, you just need to wait to be recognized in order to do that. Right.
yes,
And the recognition isn't, and I've said this in other Q&As that I've done, don't expect people to walk up and just keynote your chart. That
uh,
isn't necessarily recognition. I mean, they might say, wow, you have great, ideas about how to improve things. I mean, they might say that, but it can be more subtle than that. You have to kind of really have the discernment to know, and you'll know through, energy, right? Right. You're
yeah,
energetic sensitive, you're aurically sensitive. That's going to be part of assessing whether they really get you, they really see you, you know.
yeah.
Um, but people are very
So,
here, like it's about fixing things. It's really about improving and fixing things for the collective.
yes,
Yeah.
not fixing myself. No, I tried a lot of things. You know, I used to do a lot of drugs and I really, really experimented with it. Now I just eat like mushrooms sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got activations here, so I can understand that entheogens are part of your process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Um,
and look,
yeah.
you're here to go into the darkness, right? I mean, whatever that means. You're here to excavate and explore the darkness.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important to look at that metaphorically as well, right? And darkness is an interesting theme for you, right? You are
Yeah.
here to
It
explore
is.
it. You also have had fears around the darkness, and even fears around darkness in terms of evil.
Yeah.
Is the world overrun with evil? You know,
Yeah.
what do I need to do to correct this situation? Right? I feel guilty about how dark and evil the world can be. I want to help. I see things. You know,
Yeah.
does anyone want my help? Does anyone want to see what I see?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And what about if, you know, maybe you cannot see it, but do you think it's correct for me to like meditate and Kundalini yoga?
Well, the Kundalini aspect I can understand with these, because these gates, okay, are, I mean, well, let me rephrase. This gate is interested in the evolution of consciousness, right? That's
Yeah.
these gates down here, right?
Yeah.
And then you do have the base, you know, the root chakra there wanting to get its energy out, right? And this wants to get the energy up. That's what these format gates want. And that's Ra calls the depression that's here, right? It's actually like, it's like the melancholy that individuals feel. It's that fallow period before they have a pulse and a breakthrough. So your fallow period before you have a breakthrough in the evolution of consciousness is experienced as depression. I mean, I know it well. This is my P son. So I would say that that stands to reason with the Kundalini yoga. And regardless, you definitely need to get your energy out somehow or another every day. That's just root splenic connection stuff, right?
Yes.
Meditation, I would say, is a very right-centric being with a completely open head and an undefined ajna. I would say absolutely that could be, you know, a good thing for you. I don't think
Yeah.
that notions about meditation in this field are as black and white as they've been depicted, though, because, you know, I have a defined mind and I did meditate for several years and it did serve me. And my meditation practice, it did get to the point where there was almost no thought stream in my awareness. So it's not quite as black and white as Ra portrayed. Surprise, surprise, rarely is. But in any case, with your design, absolutely, I can see both of those things serving you.
Yeah. I feel like it.
And this is also I would say a marker for any type of energy sort of work, right? This feeling cognition, right? So whether we're talking about Reiki or these types of energy healing modalities or homeopathy could serve you, even though you have a defined spleen. I don't see any correlation between defined spleens and homeopathy working or not. I think it works most of the time with the right, you know, the right protocol. But this feels like a Kundalini yoga thing to me as well, shifting those energies, you know, through embodied practices. Yeah. Cool. Well, I
Yeah.
will open it up for someone else.
Thank you.
Hopefully,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Of course. Okay. Who else has a question? Question, comments? Memories, dreams, fantasies.
You ain't pulling it out of me. Oh, well.
What's that, Stephanie?
Oh, I didn't know. You should have me like, I thought I was muted. Sorry about that. Oh, I just like, I don't have anything. I'm just laying here taking in right now. And I want to give you something, but really don't have a lot.
No worries.
Thank you for your time the other day, though, so much.
Yeah, yep.
I'm still playing with it.
Yeah, I'll send the video to you so you can download it. I'll do it another way.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Let me just see if I can mute myself. This is different every time.
I can mute you, Stephanie. No worries.
I'd like to figure it out though, because I come on here thinking, oh, I'm okay. I see the mic's muted, but it's not true.
Nangshi, how's Sophia doing? Sophie.
James, are you asking me?
Yes.
Yes, Sophie has been mentioning a few times. I asked her, are you still having fear towards the future? Or in terms of, especially she has got constant anxiety about money, security. Is
Mm,
everyone else going to, okay, I need to take care of everyone else's needs. So when I asked her, she said that she's much better. She said after her foundation reading with you, she has dropped all of that. But it's just but she can still see when she language it, she still have those concerns, like her sensitivity, channel of sensitivity, cares about her tribe, but isn't a total relief different to before, like their self-survival, yeah, or collective survival that she has. Yeah, so yeah, everyone, this is just my daughter Sophie, she's 10 years old, and she had a foundation reading with James 2 months ago. I can't remember, a month or 2 months ago.
yeah, like a month or two. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a huge relief for her. And she had a big release of crying, her anxiety about future, uncertainty. Yeah,
Hmm. That makes me so happy.
yeah. But then she becomes much more self-empowered in a way that she will constantly be very honestly feedbacking about the school doesn't do anything. Like she constantly saying the school failed, teach me the math, like why everyone has to be a formula, life cannot be framed. And she said that the
Mm,
school doesn't teach things that is meaningful. Yeah, that's just what, in terms of knowledge, she has a
hmm.
a good critical judgment, I would say. When I use a good,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's
Yeah.
just speaking the truth. Yeah.
No, yeah, I did also affirm that, public schooling and so on, I basically let her know, yeah, it's not all right. You're correct that there are things that are wrong, I gave her that affirmation, um, which I think she appreciated.
Mm, yeah. And then the other thing that I noticed, she's still, which is her pattern, like her languaging, she often will be the first one to say, I'm sorry, sorry, excuse me, sorry. She's the one, like anything that if is different to other people, she will just be the first one to apologize, be very apologetic. Yeah, so I don't know, like I remind her, Sophie, was that really your fault? Did you do anything? Why do you need to use the language? Like she constantly will be the one. I
Mm,
don't know whether it's her 1949 also doing that. She just have this, like she's not self-centering like my bigger daughter will just be like, no, it's not my fault. And she's like, everything can be my fault first. And I need to be the one apologetic first. Yeah.
hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah.
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 And she's often, I would say, is in these ways, she's often feel like, if you are not okay, I should do something for you. Maybe it's a guilt motivation
Yeah.
that she felt like she's responsible for sorting out everyone else's issues. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And she's gonna, blindly overcare, right?
Mm.
So her caring knows no bounds. Um, the thing is that this is a design that, it goes back to something I've said before in terms of like the true self and the not self are sometimes 2 inches apart. And yeah, she is sensitive to, her tribe's, um, you know, uh, well-being. She's sensitive to, is everyone meeting their needs? That's legitimate. So she has to discern where that's appropriate awareness and when is she just overdoing it, over caring and burning herself out, you know. Um, so there's something for her to reflect on with that. Where does it naturally occur and where is she worrying about it? You know, and maybe she has all these hopes about how she's going to, serve people, improve things, something like that. Yeah. I mean, I also thought I heard a little bit of like fear of rejection for like, I mean, you have this too, Nangshi, the 43-5, and is she comfortable, just expressing, her insights? you know, as different as they might be. Yeah.
Mm. I can tell that what she says is at school seems no one really understands her geniusness. And yeah, just no one can get her, like her friends in her age. And then she's very clear. She's very into human design in a way. Like she just by herself, she pick up Ra's book and she will read it and she will make some comments. And often she will say a lot of her friends, she said they are manifesting generator. She can feel the energy. And she
Yeah.
said she's very exhausted, but they cannot, like they don't get her. And there is certain grief or sadness about not having her community, not have a consistent community, that people cannot give her what she gives to others. And then being a projector, she also mentioned a lot of time she's invisible. She didn't go to school. No one will call her out. No one will ask me to write absence notes because her teacher will just completely ignore her. Her aura is very disappearable, that kind of way. So she also felt that just like white people would just step onto her while she's there. She's like, hey, come on, the world, I'm here, but no one is seeing me. No one is really noticing me. Yeah, so there is this, I can feel there is this anger, that something with her truth speaker, the channel struggler, from time to time, she might start doing a very critical, piercing yelling at the truth, like just speaking the truth, blurting out the truth. Yeah, but no one is hearing her.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the thing is like she's got a lot of things that she sees that she would like to get out, right? And is she taking on the experiment of waiting to be recognized and invited? Does she have some concept of that?
I haven't chatted with her at all. I didn't even chat with her much about after the reading, but all her she was just releasing her emotional tears.
Yeah.
The relief that I felt in her body, in my own body, I felt for her. I can feel just this huge stone dropped. So I didn't ask anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she felt seen, you know, I think she felt seen. That's the beauty of this system. Yeah. And at 10 years old, wow. That's called good karma to be introduced to human design at 10, I would say.
Certainly is for her, I guess, for her 23, 43, and 28, 38. Like people with the channel struggler, often in Penta or their childhood, they feel like a black sheep or black horse. They
Yeah.
never felt a sense of belonging, and they see the truth that, and they really want to fight for the truth. So Sophie, the person, she can be very soft, but when she goes to this kind of, we call the fighting game, she is the most fierce kind of fighter, wants to beat everyone else up. Yeah, it's quite interesting to watch.
Yeah. I mean, there's a dynamic just between, you know, obviously her individual circuitry, right, and her tribal, right? And so one of the paths for her is how can I be myself in my group, in my tribe, you know, with my family, you know? There's a dynamic there. You know, she is going to feel like she sticks out, she's different, she's the black sheep, she's the oddball, you know, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I think that there can be a ferocity there with the fight for truth because it can be construed as a fight for survival. Like this truth was going to help us survive, or I want this truth to survive. You know, I want this truth to endure. You know, I think when you add the splenic, you know, aspect to this, yeah, it just adds extra I think that's where the ferocity comes from. Right? It's like this truth is important. It's important for us. You know, maybe she even thinks it's important for her community survival. You know, it's a value for the people that needs to be protected and preserved. And yeah, she's very concerned about, you know, healthy values, right? You know.
Yeah, but I also noticed maybe it's her Venus, presented Venus in 24, the third line.
Mhm.
Found that she's not so stubborn to the certainty of any ideas.
Mm,
She have an open way, like open space for questioning, for answer. She never have a stop point for, okay, this is my answer, this is the only answer. She often just gathers, I want to hear your experience, I want to hear your opinion. She often will come to ask me or ask anyone with an open question, and her question just
mm,
goes to the next one, but it's in a very philosophical, scientific, that kind of philosopher science kind of way of questioning, but without judgment. Yeah.
mm, mhm.
Yeah, without like conclusive answer, without like I'm the one have answer. No, no, no. She's like, I really not knowing the answer, but I'm waiting for the knowing to come. And then once the knowing come, it opens another looping of questioning. And it's just there is just this yeah, I felt for her this is just a, I don't know whether it's cyclical, but there is this pattern, but in a beautiful way, it's not addictive way. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Mm.
Sophie definitely has questions. It was cute. She was curious how this website works. But she's gonna, she's very interested and she's got a lot of questions and a lot of possible answers, right? That's part of the transference here. It's what if this and what if that, and you know, a lot of different notions about how to fix things. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm glad to hear that she's in process with it and doing well.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. Definitely, especially getting in touch or engage with her emotional body. She's much
Mm,
more comfortable to cry and just to cry as it is.
mm,
Not feeling that she needs to feel guilty about if she's sad. She's very sensitive to if she's sad, she will affect the rest of being other beings. So
yeah.
nowadays she's much more honest with her emotional side. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah. No, it's great to hear.
Mm,
Makes me
mm.
happy.
Yeah, thank you, James. I wish you can offer the childhood analysis like 10 years old. So everyone, let's start
I
doing.
No, I mean, what's funny, Nangshi, is so over the past 4 to 6 weeks, I mean, you were part of this weird trend where all of a sudden all these mothers were buying design readings, but your daughter was the youngest, but it really gave me the sense that it can work. She sat there and she was pretty engaged for 90 minutes, and then to hear how, the outcome and just having the emotional release, that really gives me hope that we can reach children even that young, so yeah,
Mm,
we'll see what happens. I'm definitely, something moved in me, but nothing's really shown up for me to pursue with that yet.
mm. Yeah, I hope you can do some like maybe parents with children kind of workshop.
Mm,
That would be cool.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it would be great if the parents were there too, 100%. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, cool. Thank you. Any other final questions? Anything we'd like to look at?
Hi, James. How are you? It's Monique.
Hi, Monique. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. This is a very exciting conversation for me, the child reading that you did.
Mm,
My daughter's 9, so
mm,
and she's had a little bit of, I mean, just from me, and a little bit from Jen Cole. She did an reading with her. But this is really exciting to hear. If there's time, I would love to hear any thoughts that you would want to share on her chart, if there's time for that. If not, that's cool too.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Just give me 1 second. I'm just charging in here.
Sure. I'm just gonna put her stuff in the chat, her info. Is that okay? Or is it better if I just wait till you tell me?
Uh, yeah, actually, hold on. If you wish,
Okay. I'll hang on. It's so powerful that that you gave that reading to an emotional projector, a 10-year-old. And hearing her mom talk like that about how she felt this like incredible release and understanding about her emotionality. I mean, that's huge. That's just so
it is.
incredible and awesome to hear.
I think it's the best feedback I've ever gotten in my career. So,
God, right? Yeah, that's incredible stuff.
so what's her name?
So Mia, MIA,
Mhm.
and her birthday is October 15th, 2014.
Okay.
And 1856 in Miami, Florida.
All right. Another 2-4.
That doesn't look right. Did I tell? Maybe I said it wrong.
Hold on. So October 15th, 2015 at 18.
2014. 2014. There it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's her. That's her. Yeah, she's my little rare bird.
Yeah, let's see here. Oh. Okay. Well, so have you given her any basic kind of guidance so far? In terms
Yeah,
of-
so she definitely knows about being a projector. I mean, I'm a projector too, so there's a lot of
Hmm.
dual learning that happened for me when I first started learning design. It was very useful for both of us at the same time, you know. So there's a lot of that. Definitely, I've talked to her about like you know, energy and like the use of her energy and how much we're taking in. You mentioned the public school system. I'm not sure exactly, but that's a conversation that's ever going on in our house, is just
Yeah,
the amount of, she's just so tired after
right.
a week of school. Like she's just spent. And so she knows that. She knows her projector energy goes a little different. And she does know a little bit, since she only has the one channel. I have talked to her a bit about the channel too, and she initiates me like a lot, like all the time. She
Mhm.
will say something and it just changes the direction I'm moving in. Like it happens in the littlest ways, but so I'll point that out to her a lot when it happens. You know, I'll be like, look, you did it again. Like you said something in the right way, and it almost like initiates me. It's kind of crazy. She's way more left than I am too, so there's like a level of focus that I don't have that she does. It's just kind of
Yeah.
cool. So I would say that's along the lines of the majority of what I've shared a little bit about her 2-5-ness, but that's really hard for me to talk on. I'm a 1-4, so it's like it's so different. But I know that my one line can drive her 2-line nuts. I see that happen all the time because I'm like, do you want to take a class and learn how to do that? She's like, no, I don't. I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, cool, cool.
Right. Yeah. So I used to live with 3 children who are currently 8, 11, and 13. And it was very eye-opening to just observe their, you know, day to day. And one of the things is that I could see them naturally adhering to their PHS. And so have you seen that? Have you seen her have, yeah, like the way it usually manifests for children, as far as I can tell, is like this, any first color is going to be a bit overwhelmed by the cuisine that's available like at restaurants, right? It's just the food's too complicated, right? They don't get it, right? That's usually what happens at a young age. Just like they turn their nose up to stuff. They're like, like it's just not the way that they're designed to eat, you know? And so they could be construed as like picky eaters or something like that. But do you see that she has a natural preference for like simple foods?
Yeah, I should say that also is one of the first thing when I first started like learning a little bit about variable and stuff like this. I'm alternating, right? So I'm right there with her a little bit,
Yeah.
but the thing that really changed, like clicked for me when I was learning her variables and stuff was we would do this thing. She was probably like 5 when I started learning design, and we would do this thing in the morning where I would be trying to like do her hair as she was brushing her teeth. And it was like I was just in a rush always in the morning. My undefined root was like trying to get out of the house, and I'd be like, yeah, two things at once, sure, whatever. And she would have a breakdown. Like every morning, it was like a crying session, full on blown, like whole, it was such a shitty way to start her day. I hated that I was doing it. It was like this whole thing. And then I learned this like a little bit of determination stuff. I'm like, huh, I like saw that one thing at a time thing, you know, one. And I'm like, I wonder if I'm like trying to do too much to her at the same time.
Yeah.
And I just tried that the next day. Like I gave her 3 more minutes to brush her teeth, and then I did her hair. And it was
Oh.
like a whole new day. It was like we left the house smiling. It blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God. And so this really is something that I let her do now with food. Absolutely. And it's something that her dad doesn't as much, because he doesn't really live in the human design world. But I watch him trying to make her try things, and I just kind of quietly
Mm.
laugh. Like it's not gonna happen until she's ready to switch, because she goes through stages. She'll eat like pasta for like, weeks, and then
Yeah.
she's like, nope, no, now I want tacos. So
And just to let you know, so this is a person who has major implications to her PHS and environment. I mean, major.
right. Wow, yeah. Look at that.
So
Mm.
yeah. So it really does matter. It's good that she's getting some familiarity and practice with that at a young age. I would also say, Ra talks about environment being more important post-Saturn return. I'm sure that it is more important, but it's not unimportant for children to be in the right environment. They'll also express a preference for that. And what I've seen specifically with Caves children is a couple different things. One, I've seen that they can often enjoy going out, and not enjoy, but if they're going to be drug out to restaurants and things with their parents that they wouldn't otherwise really want to do, she might enjoy putting a hoodie on and kind of closing it tightly around her face. So it's kind of just a little cave. It's a portable cave for her. It creates a feeling of like safety and being able to kind of like tune out, right? And yeah. And it's also, did you say that she has a sibling?
No, well, she has an older half brother, but he doesn't live with us. He's
Okay.
my ex's son, so not really. It's really her and me most days.
She has a bedroom.
She does, yeah.
Yeah, it's important
we
to
have
her own turf. Like, when Caves children are in the same room, they need some boundaries. They need some dividers, or, something like that.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I've often wondered about the environment thing not being as important, because she is such a Caves kid. Like, I mean, it's all the time. I see it. We built her like a little, not built her, but I built her, loosely say that, a little like reading nook type of thing in her closet. It's like in her closet. And she just hangs out there and like watches the iPad and does things like that. And she's super cave. She likes a dark room. If I turn on the lights too bright, it's like she's like, like it's just So I really noticed it with her. And I've let stuff go with that too, being a mom. Like I used to make her sit at a desk and do homework like with a light, and she would much rather like sit on the bed and just write on the back of a book, or lay down, or like be like, I don't know, in her little nook area, but and with lower lighting. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I guess if your eyes go bad, they go, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just gonna let you be you, I guess. But yeah, I've definitely loosened up a lot on that too, because so I'm glad that you kind of brought that up a little bit.
Yeah. Pocket said that she has this similar experience. Her daughter loves a bed tent, or what do you call it? A bed tent.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. Nicola asks, given Mia is a single definition, I'm curious how to determine what some of the stronger conditioning gates might be. Would it be the 40 as it's on the defined ego to solar plexus, or the 45, 8, or 31 as it gets to the energy throat? Well, the first thing that's going to really be important for her is because her personality sun is here. So she's really looking at the 54, right? So this is a child that will grow up to be very ambitious, right? Wants to transform her material reality. Now, this is not a material ego, right? This is not a tribal ego. This is not an ego that really, you know, necessarily knows how to value things, right? This is a pioneering ego. It's a potentially, well, this is a child that doesn't want to play any games they don't think they're going to win, and if they don't win, there's going to be tears, most likely.
Mhm. Yep,
Right.
all day, every day. Yep,
This is,
nailed
I
it.
gotta win, otherwise all hell breaks loose, you know. And you know, she can get over it fast, but there's going to be a
Mhm.
period, there's going to be maybe a tantrum or, you know, whatever emotional outburst before she moves on to the next thing. But, you know, won't really want to play the game unless she thinks she can win the game, you know.
Mhm. That's
So
accurate.
yeah. And you know, it's someone that can be very centered or very uncentered, right? And what's going to uncenter this person is emotional overwhelm, first and foremost,
Mhm.
right? So she does look out. The world is a bit dangerous to this child because, well, she's got all three awareness centers open,
Mhm.
right? So one thing is, it's an interesting dynamic here of someone who is pure individual, right? And yet there is a lot of susceptibility to social conditioning here. So she's got to find her way with that. The healing journey for Mia is going to very much be, can I be my unique self, right? In a world that it feels safer to conform in, because you know, people are scary with their emotionality,
Mhm.
right? And the world can even be existentially dangerous. And it's also kind of dangerous and scary that no one's certain about anything. You know, this is a child who wants to nail things down, right? So I understand second line, but still, what I notice with undefined ajna children is it's like, well, what does this mean? But this is this and that's that, right? And they're trying to separate everything out. Like, this is that, and this is the way this works. And, you know, not as comfortable with gray areas necessarily, right? They want to see that things make sense, right? And can be true or not true. And of course, we don't live in a world that's that cut and dry. So there's something around that for her. But one of the big things is just, you know, can she remain centered when she's emotionally overwhelmed, you know?
Mhm.
Because this person acquiescing is going to get in the way of, you know, her living her nature,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm just,
Oh.
you know, and does she feel safe to be innocent?
Mhm.
You know, does she feel safe to be innocent? Does she feel like she has to do something, you know? And this is an interesting thing because this channel, as competitive as it is, it really is about the little self surrendering to the higher self, right? Which is a continuity with innocence that's not obvious, right? Because you kind of see on the surface like she's, you know, can be really brave and pioneering and gotta win and all of that. And it can be done from a place of play and innocence, you know, and in her maturity, you know, she can come into the higher self here in the G. Jonah postulates that this is something to do with Christianity, you know, um, little self surrendering to the bigger heart and bigger and higher self, if you will. So just a theory, just an interesting
Yeah.
take. But let's see what else.
Yeah. I everything you're saying is pretty pretty awesome for me to think about, especially that last part. That does she feel safe to be innocent? I'm innocence motivation too. So um I feel my innocence always like I feel like I'm always like at my best when I'm with her. Like when I'm with her, because she like brings that out of me a bit, right? It's easier to be innocent when we're, you know, doing kid stuff. But I
Yeah.
wonder what you're saying now, like as she matures to like, yeah, maintain feeling safe in that. Because I know as a grown up with innocence motivation, sometimes it does not feel safe, right? And I have a defined spleen, so I think about that with her a lot too. I definitely see the undefined spleen in her, like
Yeah.
with fears and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. And you know, the thing is that you can mix and match awareness center keynotes. So, you know,
Mhm.
she's going to be holding on to what isn't good for her here as well, right?
Mhm.
Because holding on is easier than being truthful. Truthful can make can you know, change the relationship, right?
Mhm.
So there's a holding on, and one of the things I see here is that she's got this 55 in Neptune line 6. This either goes to the 37 or the 40 in the wheel. Let's take a look. I'm curious to see which one it is, but what I know about 55 6s in the left angle cross of spirit, they find the spirit in community, because they're looking at the 37 and the 40. So yeah, she's
Mhm.
looking at the 37, right? So it's like, where do I find the spirit? I find the spirit with friends and family,
Mhm.
right? And I think that being honest with friends and family is going to be an important journey there, right? Is it safe to be myself?
Mhm.
You know, you know, one way that she's going to try to create safety here is with the dormant 37. It's just interesting that this is looking at this, right? The 55 is
Mhm.
37. So
Right.
yeah.
That is interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel so grateful to have gotten this information when I did, to be able to, be the mom of this unique little child. Like I said, she's just, there's so many, I don't know, I'm grateful for it every day. So thank you for sharing more things for me to know about her.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Happy to help kids. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay. Well, it feels like a good stopping time for today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all. My pleasure as always. And see you next week. Please, and send me some questions in the meantime. I think it just makes for a richer conversation if I have more time to delve in. All right. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.